Hey guys, and welcome to the Hoffington Post. Today I'm with a lovely lady right here, and she's going to introduce herself, and then we're going to get into more of her story, lessons that she's learned, and just dive a little bit deeper on what she knows and her journey as an entrepreneur.
Okay, so I'm Harper Gill, founder of Vol and Vol, which is a members club based in Wolverhampton for the aspirational mindset.
Cool, amazing. So, how did Vol and Vol come about?
Okay, so we started off as a hair shop. We were only kind of like a little barbershop slash salon.
Yeah.
And it was just under 400 square feet, I believe. And it was a place where we had a little cocktail bar, and we had men on one side, women on the other. The banter was rolling. The aspiration and the type of clientele that we had was already there, and we figured that we were able to kind of connect people through one another, and that's when we kind of came up with the whole members club concept.
What have you learned from business? And I know there's going to be an array of problems that you came across and solved, but what time or what story stands out to you where you feel like you've come across a massive problem and then had to solve it?
I think the biggest problem with me would have been the financial situation where we were in real big trouble at one point. I was really stressed out. I was literally, my confidence had been knocked to the point where I didn't know who I was. I couldn't even recognize myself. And I remember people speaking to me and I'd see right through them, and I couldn't even hear them because I was that stressed out because of the real serious financial pressure we were under. And the way we saw or overcome that pressure was obviously consolidating our debts, but at the time we didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, and eventually we spoke, me and Raps, we spoke some more, and then we came to the conclusion that we had to consolidate some of our bad debts.
Do you think like money's like one of the major topics a lot of people just don't talk about, but should be talking about?
For sure, and I think people should talk more about it, because if I could turn to someone at that point where I could be truly open about them to say, look, this is what I'm currently facing, I would have been able to make my decisions much sooner. But I had to go through the motions for a good 6-12 months to actually get to that conclusion. Whereas if I had a mentor, probably they might have they might have guided me in the right direction much sooner.
Definitely, 100%. I feel the same. I feel like over time I've become more open to just ask questions and speak to people. And you know me, I'm always out and stuff like that. I'm just asking questions. What do you think about this? Or why do you think we should do that? But when it comes to money, it's like one thing that I don't really want to talk about, or keeping it hush-hush, or trying to be humble, or like, you know what, I'm in a bad space, so I don't really want to talk about it. But I feel like I should have had an accountant way back, because I feel like it would have helped me be able to prioritize my money way more effectively. And to be fair, it's really not a bad conversation.
No.
Especially when your mind as well.
Definitely.
It's just not good for you.
But I also would say on the accountant side of things that it's really important to have a rapport with whoever you're kind of working with. I think if you don't have that rapport with someone, sometimes it's difficult for them to even kind of guide you. So it's you may feel like you can't ask certain questions because you might feel stupid about it. So I think rapport building as well in any area is important.
I felt like when I very first started as well, people were just more like, if you get an accountant, it's a waste of money and this, that, and the other. There's always this that's just cost in the area, and it's made me get an accountant late. But having one has actually helped me way more than not having one.
I think for me, I would have said a mentor would have been more suited to me at the time, for sure, because I think they would have been way more experienced in most areas. And it doesn't, you don't have to necessarily hire one. You can try and seek a business entrepreneur out, someone who's kind of been there already and done it. And I know it's much easier said than done, because not everyone will give you that time. But if you have got someone to kind of guide you, that would be amazing.
So what traits do you feel an entrepreneur has? And this is from your perspective.
Okay.
This is not like everyone or everything, but just pick 2 things.
Okay.
And why?
I think 2 things for me, I would say being resilient.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's definitely
thick-skinned, definitely. Literally. And the other I would say is drive. Having passion and drive is really important. Yeah. Because you'll get there no matter what. If you've got them 2 things, you'll definitely get there.
So being persistent with that and just crashing on and just doing what needs to be done in it. So where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? This is a big question.
Okay, 5 years' time, I would like to be a stronger and a more of a confident businesswoman.
Yeah.
I would like to see my brand kind of building a strong reputation, or would have had built by then a strong reputation. And I would like to be in talks with investors to potentially roll out within that period, if possible, or on the verge of rolling out.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Val and Val, I highly recommend going to their Instagram page. Like, their location is banging. It's like beautiful. It's amazing. I know that they've got some new works happening and things happening coming into next year, but just go and check out their Instagram. You can get a gist of what they're about, but definitely loads more to come in 2021.
Definitely, yeah.
Where I want to go with this is, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
It's a good question. There's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. But just keep on persevering. And at times, it's really difficult to kind of see, but you've got to stay true to yourself as well. Yeah, I'm a big believer of that. And, at times you will try and be something or somebody else because you think that's how you need to be perceived. Yeah. But I'm a big believer in staying true to yourself.
100%.
And keep on improving. I'm not talking about kind of not changing, because I think change is good too, and improving yourself is really important. But your kind of ethos to remain kind of the
yourself.
Same. Yeah, yourself, yeah.
So what is it like being a woman in business?
I can't really say that I've faced any real barriers as such, because I still believe that if one door closes, I'll just move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's like a woman thing as such. That's just anyone. The door will close many a times, but you just got to keep on knocking until you find the right door.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about.
So where do you find your persistence from?
Where do I find my persistence from? I've always thrived for success. I've always wanted to be successful. And throughout my career, I'm from a sales background before I got into business. Yeah. So I think that helped me massively. Working towards a target, being money driven, being driven by something. Yeah. And that's where my persistency came from.
I think a lot of people that's come on the platform have been talking about that they've been in sales.
Oh, really? Yeah. I've been doing business development. I did recruitment. I worked for a couple of estate agents. So yeah, it's a very much of a sales background that I come from.
Definitely. I know that you're massive on female empowerment, women in business, creatives as well. Yeah. What would you like to change in the industry? And even though that you haven't faced many problems in a sense of being a female in business, what would you like to change? Because I know that there are a lot of things that are out there that kind of put up those barriers. Yeah. Obviously at the moment you haven't faced any, and I wish you don't. Yeah. I do want a lot of things to change, and I think things are changing. Yeah. 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. Things are definitely changing. But what I would like to see is more and more women coming forward
100%.
in business, because although I am in business and I don't really face too many barriers, there was a period in my time, I think, where I felt I lacked confidence in myself to kind of talk business with the opposite sex. Yeah. I'm much more kind of, I've got quite a few years now, and I feel way more confident in doing it, but there's still not enough women out there in business.
I totally agree. On a few past podcasts, I mentioned it. Yeah. And there was a lot of female entrepreneurs and business women that came to mind. No. So obviously I know you.
It's a real big shame. Yeah. It is a real big shame though, because I think women can bring a whole nother dimension
100%
to business, and I think it's really, really important for more and more women to come forward. But it's probably the lack of confidence and probably not feeling like that they can do it. So I think we probably need to stick together and kind of elevate one another where possible.
Definitely. So like, how do you build up the confidence? And I know like there isn't like a quick solution or anything like that.
I think you just got to put yourself out there, and you know what, you probably will make mistakes, and you probably will sound stupid at times, but you'll learn from it. And I think that's what it's about. It's just getting out there and putting yourself out of your comfort zone, just stepping out of it.
Yes, Harper. So what has made you so resilient?
I would say resilience for me came from a young age, and you know, I came from a troubled background a little bit, and I don't like to dwell on it too much. It is what it is, and I became thick-skinned from a young age because I just had to get on with it, and there was no time for any weakness, or there was no time for kind of, I mean, even if you did, no one really cared, you know. So you just got to get on with it, I guess. And I just feel like we've got two choices. You can take path A or path B. It's down to you, and that's what I did. You know, I didn't let my problems with my childhood affect my drive, but maybe that became me as well. Yeah, of course. Wanting to do more because I guess I had no choice. So when you're forced in a situation, I guess you just get on with it.
Are there any points where you feel like you haven't necessarily been yourself in order to get to where you are?
For sure.
Because I feel like sometimes we become something else because of someone else's mold.
Yeah.
Where in actuality we don't need to necessarily be that. You just need to be yourself.
Yeah.
And then I've got another question.
Okay, definitely, because I feel like throughout my working career, when I was employed by other people, I felt like I had to fit in. I felt like I was only professional, and I never brought my personality out at the time. I remember my directors kind of pulling me up to say, you know, you're doing a fantastic job, but we'd like to see more of your personality. And I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what am I supposed to show of myself? I was just professional, straight down the right line, black and white, but there's so much more to a person. And building rapport and having a personality can get you way further. So
that's why I love you.
I'm a bit of a lunatic, but you know.
When we have our conversations, it's just like it's just jokes. It's
exactly.
It's fun, and that's why.
But I've only learned that now. Over kind of the years, and one first delving into my past and understanding that, because I didn't understand it when I was younger. I just surfed through life. But there were so many other bits that I had to work on, and I wasn't doing that. So when you look back and when you get into your 30s and you figure yourself out, you're like, okay, I can be myself now, because you've accepted yourself. And that's when you start to flourish and you start to blossom, I guess.
So how do you accept yourself? Because I think now we're getting into Harper. So
so you don't want to get into me.
So how do you accept yourself? Because it's a very important part of...
Perfection doesn't exist, and I think that's one thing I've realised. So perfection doesn't exist, and it is the imperfections of a person that makes a person, I feel, more likeable. And the minute you accept that, the better for everyone, I guess. Better for yourself, really. I don't try and fit in anymore. I don't try and be somebody I'm not. I am who I am. And I love that. I love my imperfections, and I love the fact that I have weaknesses. Without them, we won't be who we are. Perfection just doesn't exist.
So like, for like the naysayers out there, oh, you can't do this, or I'm not sure of that. How do you overcome those type of people?
I would say keep your blinkers on. Maybe not conversate too much about what you're gonna do. And I know sometimes we do that because we want reassurance from other people. But sometimes they will put you off. And that's your problem you'll face. So I think you should just do what you want to do. And if you have to change things after, you change them.
Just change it.
But only because you want to.
Of course. So like, you know, like within your path and the way that you network and stuff like that, because networking is a massive part of like building your brand and your business and so forth. Like, what have you started to do more, and how's it worked for you?
I probably haven't done enough, but I did bring a networking event to our brand. Well, Vol, we did a couple. We did Vol Women, and we've got our other sub brands, Vol Aspire. So I bring them back into my venue. Yeah. And we reached out to people who weren't necessarily local, but pioneers, challenger brands, women who are in business, just to help put them on a platform so that I got that access. But also I knew that if I was, kind of wanting that access, I know there's plenty of other people who wanted to be able to learn off these people who have already been there. So I bring it back into my venue, although I still need to go out there and do way more than I probably should be doing. It's unfortunate times right now, but I am ready for it. So
yeah, cool. So like, when did you first find out that you had value? And the reason why I asked this question is because I actually post it on Instagram quite often, and I get a lot of people that don't actually value themselves.
Yeah.
Value or believe in themselves.
Yeah.
But when you're in entrepreneurship,
yeah,
and it could be one little thing that you do, you find yourself that I'm valuable.
Yeah.
I did that. What was that for you?
I think you've got to look back at what you've achieved and how far you've come. And I think that's when you realise, shit, I do have value. I do bring something to the table. Along my journey, I doubted myself so much. But when I look back at as to how far I've come now to what I was when I was in my early 20s, it's crazy. If I was sat, kind of wherever I was sat, at the age of 18, did I ever think that I would be here? Absolutely not. So I think you've got to look back and take that time out to really kind of appreciate how far you've come.
Has there been a moment where you felt like, you know what, I feel valuable, like, yes, success? I'm
quite a grounded person. And
I know you're super humble.
Yeah. I like to think I am. But I am grounded. I think that's because of the ambition that I have. I'm nowhere near as to where I want to be. And that always keeps me grounded. So sometimes I'll have little short wins and I'm like, yes, I'm excited about that.
Like, tell me about those wins. Like,
okay, yeah.
That's, I think it's important to, like you said, like, always acknowledge those wins.
Yeah.
So like, I remember the very first time when I acknowledged my win, I got a big deal. It was like $5,000 for one video.
Yeah.
And I was like literally jumped up, scream, shouted, fuck it,
yeah.
And I just felt like, wow, I am valuable. Put a number on it. They said that they'll pay for it, and I went out and shot it, and I got paid, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe it. I can, but then that boosted my confidence to say, like, if I've done that, I can do that again. So, from your perspective, what was, even if it's like something small, like, what was that win that said, yeah, I'm valuable? Or are you just looking at like the whole experience?
I'd probably say the whole kind of experience. It's the only time when I look back and I'm like, oh shit, yeah. And that's probably recent, to be honest, because prior to that I was just going through the motions. I was trying to get to where I was. Now when I look back at it, I'm like, okay, I am valuable. There's so much more I can add now, and I can potentially mentor young entrepreneurs who are just about to start out, because I've got now a few years behind. I'm no expert, but I can give them a starting point.
So how would you boost your confidence? Because you mentioned a few times where your confidence was low and then your confidence being high. How would you boost your confidence? This is for, like, obviously the viewers. And
I think it's just going through the emotions and just experiences. The more you put yourself out there, the more you build your confidence and you become more resilient. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to kind of, fall. It's all part of building your confidence.
Cool. So, like, how can the viewers and listeners find you on social media? Vol?
So we are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So Vol and Vol. So that's spelt out. You can either go to our website, which is www.volandvol.co.uk, You can follow me personally on Instagram, Harper Gill, and yeah, reach out to us.
No problem. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
And yeah, you was definitely on the top of the list, because I was just like, I need
a female entrepreneur. Yeah.
And I know that you're a great character, and what you do is amazing.
Thank you so much, Theo.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. I don't know why. Yeah, so guys, I just want to say thank you very much for listening and watching this podcast. If there's any questions that you have, please leave them down in the comment section. It'll be myself or Harper. If you've got a question for Harper, put it down below. I'll send it over to her and she'll get back to you. And if you haven't yet, like this video and this podcast, subscribe and share it with a friend. And if you listen back to these podcasts and these shows, you'll probably gain twice the amount of information instead of just watching it one time. But I want to say thank you very much for watching and listening, and I'll see you on the next show.